That's what I'm saying.
That's why
it's
it's the necessary
you
evil.
can't sit
Yeah,
all the roster locks just because
Yeah.
it's not really about them. Of course, Julian Edelman's not competing for a spot on the roster, but it's about not being stale.
It's a
and
case where
getting
I
ready.
can see.
Just because it's just a little pet peeve of mine when everyone's Twitter blows up with, oh, it's so devastating to see a guy go down in preseason. Yes, it is. It's too bad to see an injury. I just look at it as it's too bad to see an injury occur at any time, especially if it's whether it's preseason or early on in the season. The Patriots are going to need Julian Edelman in the Super Bowl. And so if that's your mentality, it's like, why play him, I guess, at all until then? But you can't do that with every player. But anyway, I do have a question for you guys. Now that Edelman is out for the season, the Patriots know that. Moving forward, their offense obviously loaded, especially the receiving core. But do they maybe now approach this fourth preseason game where normally you don't see much of the first teamers, probably wouldn't see any of Tom Brady? Do they maybe approach this differently in trying to find that replacement to take on Edelman's role, or seeing who's going to, fill those shoes, and then the domino effect of that, what other guys maybe going to now make the roster who wouldn't have? I'm thinking about it in two different ways that they could go in adjusting this offense. And 2 seasons ago, the Patriots had a ridiculous lack of run-pass balance where they hardly ran the ball.
Their running backs were also very, very poor that season.
Right.
Too,
now they have
definitely
this loaded arsenal of running backs. So I'm feeling like either we could see maybe a shift to a more run-heavy offense, but if we do try to look at who could replace Edelman as that receiver who's making those kind of high danger cuts through the middle that Tom Brady trusts, knows, and can take those hits, because I know that Danny Amendola will probably be called upon a lot to fill Edelman's shoes, but he is in no ways near as durable as Edelman always has been. Think about those cuts that Edelman makes when he's catching the ball and just getting his head taken off, but he's fine and can take it.
Yeah, I don't think he can take the punishment of having, what did Edelman have, 158 targets last year? That was insane. That's going to be the biggest thing.
It's like the ratio of like high danger targets to injuries is much higher
all of these
Amendola.
Targets, so many of them are coming across the middle. That's
the
new Julian Edelman.
Though, a pass catching back to maybe do more of what Edelman was able to do on those short passes?
I think so. I think that's
a lot of the damage that Edelman would do would be the yards after the catch, not so much the long balls like the ones that Brady throws to Hogan or LaFell back when Brandon LaFell was here. You know, he does whatever, but you know what I mean. That different moments. Type of wide receiver. But speaking of Brady, I want to talk to you guys about the impact that this could have on Brady. I don't know if you heard, but he is 40 years old.
Really?
Not sure if you know that, but
I thought he was 25.
40 years old, believe it or not. But Brady being 40 years old, obviously, him taking impact. I mean, honestly, I think he's more durable, it seems like, at this point than
pliable.
He's pliable.
Yes, malleable. that workout regimen. But really, I have been thinking about his release time has been very, very quick, and a lot of that has had to do with Edelman, is that he knows he can chuck it to Edelman even in traffic, and Edelman will find a way to catch the ball. If his time in the pocket is now getting maybe a little bit longer, if he's having to wait for guys or maybe doesn't trust his other receivers as much as he did Edelman, what kind of effect could this have on him in his season? That's an area where I feel like is so underrated when people have just the discussions about who can you not lose and affect the outcome of the Patriots season. It's often, before it was always the argument of, would you rather lose Edelman or Gronk? I'm trying to think I think it's really important not to lose an offensive lineman, which I don't know, ordinarily maybe would sound crazy, but I think that keeping Brady as healthy as possible and as
especially one of the tackles. I mean,
looking at another position that I think could be affected as part of the ripple effect of the Edelman injury. Zach, I mentioned this to you earlier, Cyrus Jones. It's time in the podcast for our weekly Cyrus Jones update.
I think we've talked about Cyrus Jones every single between the tackles.
Yeah, that's why I'm
saying
that is literally that guy. He gets his own 10-minute segment on our show every week. Malcolm Butler, we've seen his struggles throughout this preseason game, sort of uncharacteristic.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, and I asked him today when we were all talking to him, I said, how would you assess your own overall preseason performance? And I thought that he is a guy who does not say much. He really has the Patriot way down of not answering our questions. But he said, not my best. And I was surprised at that he admitted that. But he's cognizant of it. And how does he turn this around?
Basically,
I prefaced by saying, I'm not talking about, I'm not expecting him to be cut or anything like that. I'm just saying for him.
Yeah.
He hasn't been himself.
And
he did say at the start of training camp that he does consider himself and Stephon Gilmore to be one of, if not the best, cornerback tandems in the league. So
they definitely have the potential.
You mentioned Landon Roberts is something. Whoops, my mic flag fell. Landon Roberts is a guy we touched on last week, but I was saying I think that his standing with the team or his spot on the roster bubble could be affected now if Dante Hightower is tasked more with setting the edge and covering and pass rushing.
Exactly. He's
a guy who is a key cog in run defense, and Landon Roberts, that is his strength. I remember when Jamie Collins was traded, we looked at some of the numbers, and Landon Roberts was actually more effective in run defense. Of course, Jamie Collins was such an effective pass defender, but his run defense is pretty strong.
He's a fantastic run defender.